G'day and welcome back. Today I'd like to show you all the ToolPRO Blast cabinet. This thing has come in extremely handy for the supercut rebuild so far, and I would like to show you all some of the modifications I've made to improve it, some of the improvements I'd like to do in the future and the cost involved in them. Finally, we're going to blast up some of the supercut parts and you can all see what you think for yourselves. So make sure you hang around to the end for the final outcome and my personal opinion, and also a new sticker for the sticker swap. Let's get into it. All right, I'm thinking we might wheel this outside for two reasons. It is absolutely beautiful out there today. And second of all, we don't have to listen to this noisy air compressor run. Now, just quickly, this air compressor delivers 440 litres a minute, which is on the bigger side, and it keeps up no worries at all, but that is definitely something to keep in mind when purchasing your very own blast cabinet. All right, here it is. So I paid $219 for this on special at Supercheap Auto. It is currently for sale for $349. Big difference, I know. I actually was very lucky to get it for the price I did, as I left it a day too long and nearly missed out on the special. I was away at work, and Janelle actually called them up and asked them if they would honour it, and they were more than happy to, so definitely can't complain about Supercheap Auto's customer service. While we're here talking about the price, I'd also like to add that this is not at all sponsored. I bought this with my own money, and this is my personal opinion. Now, I'd done a few modifications before I even bothered trying to use this blast cabinet. The first of which being I chopped down this grate to fit lower in the cabinet. It sits up here. I've just chopped him down to fit lower in the cabinet, and it gives you quite a lot more space for bigger parts and whatnot. Definitely worth the effort. Doesn't cost anything, and it's a good recommended modification. Now, none of these were my own ideas. I've done quite a bit of research online and watched a bit of YouTube, so if you are thinking about purchasing a blast cabinet, I definitely recommend getting on there and having a look. Yeah, there's heaps of info out there, and it's all been done before. Secondly, I replaced this old siphon tube. Now, take this back out. It's originally bolted in here, and that picked up whatever it is you're blasting with. So your big hose from your gun would attach to here, and that's what would that's how it would feed your blast gun. So we got rid of that and added this little jigger in. That's pretty simple. Just got a T-piece, bung on the bottom to, oh, still some sand in there apparently. Another T-piece, and then you have a valve. Now you can adjust this. I just trial and error, played around with it. I found it just to be slightly open worked the best, lets a little bit of air in, helps it work better. Bought an extra bit of hose from the hardware supplier. Just drill a hole up the top there, poke your hose through. Add on a barb fitting. Works a treat. Definitely worth doing that modification. That took it from being, in my opinion, absolute garbage to being quite a usable product. Now, I'll put all the parts and prices for this in the description. I reckon I brought all this from the big green shed. Wild guess, I think it might have cost me like 30 bucks, under 50 anyway. Not a whole lot of money, and in my opinion, definitely a must do. Next modification was the dust extractor. It's just a shop vac into a bucket. This is an old Triton workbench dust extractor bucket. You can make them up. Again, YouTube it. There's plenty of info out there on it. Now, without the dust extractor, you end up with it just yeah, it gets messy in there real quick and you cannot see a thing. You're just guessing. It's another quick mod. Stop blowing all the dust out the end there. Still lets it breathe, obviously, because you've got vacuum hooked up, you need to let the air in. I'll cut this big hole out in the front here. Not necessary, but just made it a lot easier to access this valve for minor adjustments. Just put a bit of pinch weld around there to sort out the sharp edges. I've also got a plug in here. A switch just makes it quick and easy to turn the vacuum off, as it's noisy as all hell. Alright, another modification we made was lights. The light it comes with is absolute junk. You wouldn't believe it, but that is on right now. A complete waste of time. And the lighting is definitely very important. If you can't see what you're doing, again, you're just guessing. It's as bad as it being dusty in there. So I was gonna mount them inside, and then I thought about it. I thought, well, if I put them out here, they can't get all sandblasted and etched up, you know. And honestly, they're not in the way at all. They work a treat. So just wired it into the original plug. It's only 12 volt. So they turn on and off with the original switch. And yeah, works a treat. But again, that is a must-do modification in my opinion. You got to be able to see what you're doing. I nearly forgot. Another thing we done is quickly whipped up this trolley. Now, I had to do that sooner rather than later, as this modification would have fouled the bench. So I guess there's other ways around it. You could probably put it on some trestles or something like that so it doesn't hit, but ideally that works a treat. Might put a shelf in here a bit later on just to sit everything on. Make it a bit easier to wheel around, and it'll do the trick. Another modification that people recommend is making the perspex easily removable, which would be a great idea. Now they give you these clear sacrificial sheets, so you just tape them up there, and as you can imagine, blast, and there's all abrasive dust blowing around in here, and it doesn't take long before it's all etched and hard to see through. So what they recommend doing is I think I might put some like riv nuts in here, so you don't have to worry about holding onto a nut every time. So you can just come along and unbolt all this, pull it out, and replace it with another piece of perspex or glass or whatever it is. I'm not sure what that one is. I think it might be glass, but yeah, that should work good. A few other bits and pieces that come with it. There's a few different nozzles, all different sizes. I don't know much about the sizes. I just trial and error, wing it. So I must have a number 5 in there at the moment, I'm guessing. They give you some spare foam, supposed to around the door. I don't know if you wears out after a time, I guess. Replace it. And this cap, I assume that's meant to go on there. It doesn't actually come with any fittings to fit a hose on. I think this was just a blank by memory. Pops out. I just cut it to fit the end of the hose. All the cords are a bit messy, but I'll do for the time being. Might sort something a bit neater out in the future. But other than that, it works an absolute treat, and I'm really, really happy with it. So we need our air hose. Plug that in the back here. Now, another thing I would recommend is it could probably do with a water trap up closer. I do have a water trap on my compressor, but still a bit of water that does build up in the hose reel. So I think I had it set to about
60 psi, maybe a bit higher, maybe about 75. And I found that to work quite well. The machine wasn't overworking, wasn't running all the time. Give it a bit of time to cool down, and yeah, you could definitely go more, I guess. I don't think it would matter. Just means that your air compressor wouldn't have a chance to shut off, depending on the size of your compressor as well, I guess. It pays to drain your water. There we go, running at about 75 psi. Oh, g'day, mate. Meet Bugs. He's a friendly little bugger. Another modification that I've seen, I didn't really understand at the time, is people were recommending... I've got to fix that. Nothing worse than listening to an air leak. Grease. No, I hate grease more than air leaks. As people were adding in another hose, like a T, and just had to blow everything down, and as you're working, all the grit and everything ends up here and not down there where it should be. So it would be actually a good little addition, just a little air chuck just to blow everything back down. I haven't done that yet, but I might do it. Some of them even put little agitators in the bottom just to vibrate it and let it all fall back down again. I'm not sure I'll go that far, but definitely worth a thought. Other thing you want, some earplugs or some earmuffs, so you don't have to listen to the shop vac and the air compressor running. Look after your ears. Alrighty, let's go get some supercut parts and give it a whirl. See what you guys think. Alrighty, here's some of the bits and pieces we've got here. A couple of bearing carriers. This is something that I blasted up already the other day, and I forgot to paint it. Now they will rust back up again real quickly, especially if you touch it. You know, all the oil's off your hands and everything. They'll rust back over pretty quick, so make sure you get some undercoat onto them ASAP. Not the end of the world. They clean up real quick. All right, we'll see how much of this we can get through cleaning up. Get the bloody clutch lever. Another linkage there for the rear clutch drive. The chain tensioner, real chain. So your bloody height adjuster. Not sure if that'll be getting used yet. I would like to make something else up, but you'll have to wait till a later video to see what's going on there. The handlebar brackets. These come up real nice. Blast them up and then hit them with a wire wheel, and should add that we'll push them bearings out first. We might go do that quickly. Now I forgot to add the grit. I got this from a place called Paramount Browns in Adelaide, and I reckon it was like 30 bucks for 20 kilos or something. I can't remember the details for it. I'll put it down in the description, but yeah, it's can't complain. It seems to work, no worries at all. You don't need a whole lot in there either. Just enough so that it covers up the hole in the bottom and you're right to rock and roll. Start with the brass bearing carrier. They come up sweet. What else are we going to poke in here? I'm going to chuck a couple of these springs in here. Let's get into it. All right, earmuffs, vacuum.
Tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same.
I'm going to pay just to let the dust settle a bit before you open the door. I left one spring just to compare. Bloody awesome. I think I might zinc plate the springs. Bit of something else to have a bit of fun with. Borrowed a zinc plating kit off of a good mate Hayden. There it is. Big treat. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to get stuff out of the grooves, corners. But nevertheless, it works. Just takes a little bit longer, that's all. I wouldn't get too carried away with the threads. Just go easy on them, hence why I left that screwed on for the time being. Get the most of it then, just a real quick one over there, you know. Especially on brass. I'll give it a quick polish up and show you how it turns out. And I forgot to press play. So there's that comparison. After a blast and a quick buff on the wire wheel. Bloody magic. If you're gonna paint them, I'd probably just leave them sandblasted. I wouldn't buff them up, but I think I'm gonna leave them raw, so hence the quick buff up. It brings them up like new. That's funny. I just noticed that 11 on there, and I noticed that was stamped into the side plate as well. I wonder if they match, if that's a sizing to match that groove. I'll look into that later. Alright, what do we want to clean up next? Give these two a quick spruce up.
I guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I but I know you too long. It hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away. As you fade away. As you fade away. Try to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to...
Alright, there you have it. Just a couple little stubborn spots on there. Just chuck it back in and go again. All in all, it's good. Now that is grease, so definitely pay to degrease your parts first. It doesn't really get rid of that. But it's a good example of how that works. Otherwise, brings it up perfect. All right, I might do this one in real time so you can see how long it takes. Turn the vacuum on. Was that like 3 minutes? Looks like new. Probably could get a little bit more around there. Awesome. Something else I'd like to add, I'll give you the dimensions inside. So we got 685 by say 450, got about 430. Keeping in mind that it's an angle and with the base chopped down. But something that I didn't really think of at the time, just because something fits in there doesn't mean you can necessarily blast it, because if it's tight you can't get around all the edges and everything. When I done this reel, I made up this little frame so I could turn it as I go, because it was just so hard to maneuver, and that was the limit. So that's a 20-inch reel out of a supercut, and it was tight in there, and you wouldn't really want anything bigger than that. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Just because it fits doesn't mean it's gonna work. I'll be lucky enough to get them in there. The only thing I won't get in there is the handlebars, obviously. So what I'll probably do is just cut them into 3. Nah, just joking, I'll just clean them up with the sander. But other than that, everything else will go in there. So yeah, absolutely cheering. If you're doing a model 45 or something, I don't know, you'd go getting a twin rail in there. You know, your solid deck, obviously they all unbolt, so you'd have no dramas there, but twin rail would be a different story. Haven't actually checked, but yeah, it wouldn't be very nice. Even if you got it in there, yeah, I don't think it would work. All right, here's our examples, obviously. It's all greasy, so you pay to clean that up, degrease it. Hit it with some brake clean or something before you chuck it in there. All in all, that's pretty good. Interested if anyone knows about them numbers. Got an 11 on there and an 11 on there. I wonder if it's something to do with that's been machined down to fit that machine. That's my guess. Let me know what you'll think in the comments. Come up an absolute treat. Leaves a good finish on it for paint too, I think. It's great. I'll find out what grit abrasive I had, and I'll leave that in the description. Yeah, it's awesome. I like it.
We've got a new sticker from the sticker swap. Love, Lauren.
Love Lauren is a man named Michael from Western Australia. He's a good bloke. He actually done the calendar, this year's calendar, with all the Scott Bonner bits and bobs in it, which was quite a bit of fun. So if you haven't already, go check him out on Facebook, Instagram and YouTube. Well, there we have it, something a little bit different. I hope you liked it. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. I've got a few other things in the making, just waiting on some parts and whatnot for the supercut. But yeah, I think it sort of fitted pretty well with the project. Again, let me know what you think. So if you liked it, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Cheers, legends.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything